That's good. And that's, again, like I said, that's one of my favorite things about the system is just that live analytic practice analysis, referral tree. You can see exactly what's going on. Yeah. So the other thing that I think docs, if they're, seeking out to maybe look at a new software, maybe run a demo or have you do something with them. The other hang up that and I personally had this hang up, I've gone through a couple other systems, is the own versus lease, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. And we know today, whether it's, all-in-one computer or your phone, that technology is continuously evolving and we can't keep up with it.
Yes.
And that's, and so I finally came to the conclusion, like, it's easier for me to step back and work with you guys where it's a small monthly fee. I don't have to, buy another server every 4 years or 5 years, or the server crashes and I can't do my notes because it's in the closet and it's broke and my IT guy can't get here for 24 hours.
Yes.
And so just kind of removing that barrier of like, no, it's okay with today's constantly changing, evolving world to like, no, let's just pay the few $100 a month and let Brian let Brian and his 10 servers in the sky deal with the issues of that. So explain, I kind of just did, but go ahead on that.
Yeah, there's also liability there now too, right? Like the data, just from the data perspective, what a lot of people hear about hacking all the time now.
Yeah.
Well, the most valuable data on the planet is patient information. So, and the liability, if your data is sitting in your server in your office, and this is kind of a different question, but it's actually your liability if that server gets hacked, and it's a HIPAA fine, which is like $50,000 per occurrence. So you're out of business, like you can't afford it. So just going to the cloud offsets that burden onto us because we have the HIPAA insurance. It's data center is on us, the security of it. Now, if people could hack it, probably. It sounds like from what we're hearing in the news today that they can look at us doing this right now. Right?
Yeah, right.
So there's a way to do it. But there's insurance for that. And point is, you don't want to be put out of business for that, and you kind of offset on that. But ownership is really interesting to me because, the reality is that you never owned software anyway. That when you buy a PowerTouch or a Platinum or anything like that, and I've done that, you get a license. You don't own technology. You don't own the code. You don't own any of that. There's a lot of downsides to that. So the difference, by the way, is purchasing a license as opposed to what's called software as a service. It's SaaS model, SaaS, and that's what a subscription-based software is. That's the technical name for it. Software as a service. It's not like a lease or anything like that, because if a lease you could buy it. There's no buying. Because what we're doing is giving you really multi-million-dollar level technology. This is the type of technology that's a business enterprise level technology for a small practice. So if you had to buy a license for it, it would be $40,000, $50,000. So how do we get that to the small practice at a reasonable rate is to be able to charge on a consistent basis over time. The service, software as a service part of it is this. You got to think, why would a software company want you to pay them all up front? Why do you get stuck with the decision that you made when you could just pay a software as a service? Now, the software itself, the technology, the code, it's built in. When it's not software as a service and it's typically on a server in your office, the code you build that software in is the code it will always be in. It's a language. So think about how languages have evolved over time, right? You had hieroglyphics and now we have emojis, I don't know, right? So there's different languages, right? They keep evolving over time. They're almost back to hieroglyphics. But they evolve over time. Now with software, I don't want to name names of software, but you'll see some of the older ones out there that they're just limited. They just can't do certain things because the language they were built in is so old, it doesn't work with the rest of society in software language. All right. So you see them start to be more and more limited as to what functionalities they can build into their software. So that's a huge limitation. That's why it's cheap. Yep. You just pay one time and you're going to be stuck with that. And 5-10 years from now, you're going to be having that conversation. Well, I already paid them and I already did this and I already did that. But you're stuck with software that's costing you money. You're losing revenue. You're losing retention. Your compliance risk is higher and all this stuff. So Why throw good money after bad? Now with software as a service in the cloud, the beauty of it is with Genesis, the language that, Paul, you've been using it. So the language that the software is built in today, 10 years ago, it's completely different. Completely different than even 10 years ago. The language, the user interface could actually look the same or change over time. But as the languages evolve, we're able to actually build the platform on the new language in real time so that the capabilities over time of Genesis keep getting better and better and better. We're not stuck static.
Yeah.
And that's why you pay for it as a service, because you always want the software to be up to date, the latest thing available. So it's a software as a service. It's not a lease, it's not a purchase. And that's the model. And you see everybody doing that now. I mean, Microsoft Office is in the cloud now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really the, and I also equate it, Brian, to like some people will go out and buy the Ferrari, but most people will lease that Ferrari. You're going to go buy the Honda Accord, right? And just drive it in the ground and give it to your kids, right? But you're going to, like the high-end cars, right? Most are leased 2, 3, 5 years, right? Because you're going to want the latest and greatest. And so this is removing, again, that barrier. You're constantly giving us the latest and greatest,
That's a great, when you say lease, that's a great way to think of it from that perspective. Yeah. You're getting the most cutting edge technology there is, and software that you couldn't sell as a license because it's just too advanced, and you have to charge $40,000, $50,000 for a license. So what's the point?
Yeah. Why? How about, what's that?
I said, you don't want to be stuck, but I hear that all the time. I bought Platinum or Power Touch or whatever, and I spent $10,000, and then when we show them the difference in like billing revenue with that 7% versus 18%,
what's costing them?
It's not a cost, it's an investment. Like you're losing money. Forget that 10,000 is gone. Now you're losing 10,000. Plus you have to pay monthly for those things anyway.
Yep.
Right. So
for updates. Yeah, I get it.
It doesn't make sense.
I get it. And then, so the other thing that we've really, and Partialist, we're working with somebody you partner with, John DeVillian, and his compliance program, but our notes are literally a couple touches to hit all the needed things to support compliance. So touch on that, how simple it is for docs to do. I mean, you have people seeing Chris Dano seeing way more in his practice than I see and than most of the world sees. And getting notes done timely, easy, in that fashion. So I think, so that's another benefit, I believe, is even if you're only seeing 100, 200 a week, the faster you do the notes, the sooner you're home with your family.
Absolutely.
So talk about that, how it is really, you guys have created a simple process for notes.
Every second matters, right? No matter, it's either there's an actual return on that time, or like you said, it's just your time. So that's the most valuable thing we have, second maybe to our health. But so when we started looking at this, when we first started, I came from the high volume practice model, thousands a week type thing. So what we did, the first practice, God rest his soul, Charlie Majors, he was the first practice we put the system in.
Okay.
So we had to build it for high volume from day one. So it's been through the fire a lot.
Right.
But the idea is not just that the note is fast, and we've streamlined everything. So a couple of things. Revenue with Genesis clients as compared to clients that don't use the automation type systems.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had some clients that just wanted to use the schedule and just want to use a note system, don't want to use all the automation. So we actually monitored how they did compared to the clients that do want to use that single point management. Revenue 62% higher, compliance 32%, retention 26%. And what was most interesting to me is that the doctor for their time in office was 33% lower. So it's a huge gap between the increase in the revenue and how much less time, because the management time is less, the time spent documenting is less. So the key is this: it's one channel. The concept is that we have Zano, who's a huge practice, but mostly cash. We have some doctors that are very little insurance, some doctors that are heavy insurance, some that are more PI. But the way we built it is that you can do a note extremely fast. I don't know if you want me to explain how the note works, but The ease of it is it comes up, you can see exactly where your patient was previously, touch a couple buttons and it updates the note. Now you have a new note. But also at the same time, it's on the same screen, the diagnosis codes and the procedure codes are there, and any warnings of that you might be doing something wrong are right there. So that when you hit that button, it's literally the note is signed off on and the claim is off to the insurance company, assuming there's no errors on the front end, right? If it's off to the insurance company. And then how do you manage the AR and all that other stuff? It just comes back to you if you need to look at it. You don't have to think about all the reports and all the processes that you have and memory manage and worry about it when you go home at night. You can leave the office. Your notes are done. Your billing is done. You can look at your team and if there's any backlog there or not, meaning did they leave anything undone? And then you're done. When you go home, you could just shut it off. Let it go, shut it off. And then you go home and much less time in management, much less time in actual interaction with the software. And then you have that free time and your revenue's up and your compliance is up. So
it's a double win.
Oh man, it's huge. I don't know how to quantify that. There must be some kind of multiplier, but
some analytic guy can figure it out. But I mean, it really is. I mean, it's simple and easy. And as you said, some of the highest volume practitioners, in our profession are using it for that exact reason. They're more time at home with their family, not sitting at the office till night at night doing notes. Which is, like you said, time is our most valuable commodity outside of our health. So man, I think it's, well, thanks. Anything you want to, I think we hit on like 5 or 6 different things. Any other thing that you want to give folks about the system that I might've missed?
I don't know if we touched on, or if you think we should, on data security or anything like that. Owning data as opposed to not owning data. Did we hit that, or do you think it's important?
Well, I mean, I think we hit the, we talked about the not having a server in office. Yeah. Right. Yep. We touched on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, awesome. Hey guys, I want to thank Brian again, Brian Capra with Genesis, for taking the time to help us help you understand the benefits of using this system, not only from a financial standpoint, for faster return revenues, but we just finished up with talking about how it's going to save you time so you can get home with your families, go to the gym, whatever you want to do for you, by using a system that is super streamlined and consistent for practice management and serving your people. So Brian, thanks for taking the time to interview today. And and I think you're going to give us aren't you going to give me a link that I can get them to do a scheduled demo with you so you can really walk through kind of the details and they can see it?
Absolutely. So if you're watching this video, it'll actually probably be embedded on a web page that'll have a link right below us where you can click and schedule a time. You can actually, when you click that button, it'll show you times that are available. So you can actually not have to call somebody and get a call back and play phone tag. You can actually pick a time and schedule it. And it's that easy. So that's the first step in taking a look at Genesis, and we'll take you through the system. I really appreciate this, man. I mean, it's really like we talked about a lot of kind of complex things. It's so hard for we just get lumped in with every other software out there. There's some big differences that you should take a look at.
Yeah, and I think that's why they should really take the half hour or whatever it is to do a demo with you guys, just to actually sit down, see it on their computer screen, and you want somebody in your team can walk them through how how exactly it works, and they can see it live and because I mean, I like feeling and touching and seeing stuff, before I purchase, and so I think that'll be a great way for them to get a connection with it, not just listening to you and I talk about it. So
cool. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right, bro.